Okay guys, it's day 14 and I think it's time to learn the client first by Finsweet. You can find the documentation on their website or type in Google client first by Finsweet and you find this documentation. And I think this will be the best way to get introduced to the client first. There is a learning path here. And today we're gonna go through the documentation and we will start with the day two, with the day one. There is a 7 days learning path to get introduced to the framework and start building with it. And we're gonna start with day one. Let's go. So what is client first? And why we're going to use client first? To create an organization system for our project. That's very important to enable speed and flexibility when using Webflow Designer. To define a strategy for class usage in the project. To standardize a core structure shared across all pages. To create a Webflow build that is scalable and easily manageable. To help developers, clients, or anyone understand the project. So this is all very important. That's why we're going to use a framework. What does client first mean? Client first, we put our client's interest first in the Webflow build process. By making our clients our top priority, we have created a style system that satisfies their needs and makes us better Webflow developers. That's what we want. What most clients want. They want to create a scalable Webflow project, create a project quickly without losing quality, create a project that many people within our agency can manage, create a project that we can hand off to a different Webflow developer agency if the client decides to change vendors. Create a project that the client can manage inside Designer. Okay, super important. Not all clients want to manage their Webflow project. Some do, and most don't. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Creating a project that allows for scalability and flexible post-launch management significantly benefits any client company using Webflow. Yeah, because they can always change vendors and someone else can pick up the project and do changes. It's self-explanatory. Okay, our decision client first help us build more efficiently as Webflow developers, as well as help deliver a top value project to our clients. Naming convention. Client first has a focus on clear class naming throughout the project. A Webflow developer, client, or any person should be able to understand what the class is doing based on a class name, even if that person has no experience with client first. Okay. Goals of client first naming convention. Empower a non-technical person to manage our website. Be clear, informative, and descriptive in our class naming. Give the reader as much context into the purpose of the class. Read the class name and know what its purpose is. No abbreviations, no shorthand, no confusion. Give as much context into the relationship of what class with the website, of that class with the website. Okay. Create names based on prefix and keyword organization techniques. Visualize the purpose of a class based on its name. Okay. Everything is very logical. Overview topics. This intro page reviews the essential topics of Client First. These are not all the principles of Client First. The goal of this page is to review the most important topics. Read this page if you're considering Client First your Webflow style system. Yes, this will be my first Webflow style system I'll try to master it. I think it's very important to give me direction and a clear structure how to start building a website and to be efficient and fast. Super important. I had so many recommendations from people to start exploring the client first by Finsweet, and it's a very good first step to become a Webflow developer. And almost every agency is using client first. So if you want to work for someone, you better learn client first. There is um, another amazing framework like Humus by Timothy Ricks, but everyone is saying that it's more advanced and it's more towards people who already know what they're doing. For start, the client first is just great. And the thing is that when a lot of people, because this is the most popular framework, and this is very good if you want to be a freelancer, because when everyone is using it, you understand the other projects very fast, and they will be able to hire you, and you get to work very fast, and you understand what's happening because everybody's using the same structure, the same class naming. Super important. Okay, we have 4 focus strategies: classes strategy, core structure strategy, typography strategy, spacing strategy, folder strategy. Okay, this disclaimer. This is not following every best practice of traditional HTML and CSS build conventions. This is not traditional, this is Webflow. Webflow has redefined how HTML and CSS can be managed visually in our project. Plan first, built specifically for Webflow designer workflow and organization. So this framework is specially made for Webflow because things here are done differently than the traditional HTML and CSS. Okay. Classes strategy. We organize classes by custom class and utility class. We define these 2 classes by this character underscore. Custom class have the underscore in the class name. Header primary. Content. Utility classes don't have or in the class name. Okay, we are using dashes here. Okay. So we use underscore when we make a custom class, and for the utility class we are using dashes only. Okay, custom class. Usually for something specific and visual on the page. Custom class is created for a specific component, page, grouping of elements, or single element. For example, a class to style the theme slider or a class to style the global headers for the project. Custom classes use an underscore in the class name. Okay, so if we see an underscore, it's a class name, custom class name. And it's gonna be used for elements, or group of elements, single element, or component. Okay, get it? Form component example using form. Form underscore element name. Form component, form wrapper, form block, form label, form input, form submit. We can see it here. Actually, form underscore and the element. Okay. Got it? Each of these examples refers to a specific identifier element. Okay, makes sense. Utility class, usually for an important CSS style on the page. Okay, so basically they contain styles and not elements from what I get. A utility class is created for specific combination of CSS properties. So they hold CSS properties and styles, which can be applied to elements across the project. Yeah, we can apply it to elements like this. Okay, for example, a class for background color or a class for font size. Utility class will not use an underscore in the class name. Okay, so if we see only dash, it's an utility class. Most of the classes that come with Client First Starter project are utility classes. Examples: padding global, max width small, margin large, text color secondary, background color dark, display none. Okay, each of these examples refers to specific CSS style property. So they're all holding a style. Okay, makes sense. Global class. Custom class or utility class that can be used throughout the site. A global class intended for use across the entire project. Global class is not a specific instance. It's not for a specific instance. It applies styles that will remain global or unified across the project. Okay, it makes sense. You can see it in the name global. Global class can be utility or custom class. Utility is always a global class. Makes sense. Utility classes are global in nature. Global class can also be a custom class, such as header content. Yeah, because we can use the header on other pages as well. We may have a recurring header structure used throughout our project, and this class will allow us to manage the header styles globally. Okay, if we intend to use the class throughout the website, it is considered global. Yes, a class that is created as a variant to a base class. This is a combo class. Combo class. Class that is created as a variant to a base class. Combo class inherits styles from the base class and adds more styles on top of it. Okay. We define the base class as the first class in our stacked combo class. Okay, so the first class will be the base class. We add a class on top of the base class to create a unique variation. The class that creates the unique variation has a class prefix of is. Okay, so the combo class starts with is and dash. The stacked is. Okay. The stacked is variant class will only work when combined with the base classes before it. Together, the stacked classes are a combo class. Okay, so a combo class when we have two classes. And the first is the base class and the second is the combo class. Together they create the combo class. Okay. Video below, understand the is brand does not work alone. It only works as an addition to the base button class. Okay, we can see the red button here. This is the base class. And when we add the is brand, we can see the color is changing the brand color. Okay, makes sense. Combo class can be created out of custom or utility classes. The example above, button is brand, shows a utility class as part of a combo class. Okay. We're gonna learn more later, I guess. This is the first day, the fundamentals, the basics. Core structure strategy. Client first sets a default core structure to follow across all builds. Okay, this is very important. Yes, we're gonna use this in every project. This same structure. Okay, we have a page wrapper. Then we have a main wrapper. Then we have a section identifier like section underscore hero. Padding global. I guess this utility class we can see here dash. Padding section size. This utility class 2. And container size, another utility class. So we have two utility classes and a custom class with the element, then two more utility classes. This will be our structure: the body, the page wrapper, the main wrapper, the custom class, section home, padding global utility class, container large utility class, and then another custom class with the element gonna put to the container. Okay. We have to memorize this core structure. I guess when we do our first project, we're gonna memorize it when we, we're gonna use this a lot, so okay, this will be the structure. Page wrapper wraps all page content. Main wrapper holds all of the page's main content. This is a best practice for web accessibility. Okay, section underscore identifier organizes Webflow designers navigator panel. Padding global manages universal site-wide left and right padding of a page content. Padding section size manages universal site-wide top and bottom paddings of sections. Container size manages max width on the containers that wrap our content. Okay, I think we're gonna do all of this, so it will be much easier to make the website responsive and structured consistently and scalable. Yeah, makes sense. Uh, uh, I understand why we're doing all of this. From my basic knowledge so far, I can see the why we're doing this and why we need this structure. Because when I tried to make my first project from scratch and I was doing everything, I was thinking about continuing with my project from scratch, but I know that it will be so hard to make it responsive. I did so many mistakes. So when you have a structure, a consistent structure, everything will be so much easier to, to make responsive. Very important. Using this core structure, we can manage important page level CSS properties for our project globally. This practice defines a unified approach across all client-first developers. Yeah, this is so important. Most websites would follow the structure shown below. And we can see the structure here. Sections are organized inside Navigator and work as anchor links when clicking through them. And we can see here we are going through the sections. And every section will be built with this structure. This is what I understand. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Very clean, very structured. I like it a lot. Amazing. Section structure example. Yeah, we can see here. Page wrapper. Page wrapper. Why do we have two page wrappers here? And we can see the structure here, the normal structure, the section, custom class, and then two utility classes, and then the building blocks inside the container, the, the custom classes inside. Okay, inside the class structure, we create components and visual web elements with custom classes. We use custom classes to style elements that should not be managed with utility classes. Okay, we're gonna learn more about this in the next days. We're gonna master the client first. Okay, let's continue. Typography strategy. Our strategy is to keep typography as unified and globally manageable as possible. We use utility classes to manage the typography. Ideally, we don't place any class on a text element. It's best to inherit the default styles applied directly to the body, paragraph, and H1 to H6 HTML tags. HTML tags. We have link here, but I know HTML tags now. So we start with styling H1, H2. And we have to style these tags, the pink ones. Not the classes, but the base class for all H1 headings. We style first the base classes, the root classes, the first classes. The tags. Okay. These are the default styles for each heading and the body of our project. Classes are required only when there is customization from the default. So basically we want to use classes only when we need to use classes. And if we don't need to use classes, we shouldn't use them to keep the class structure clean. Yeah, I get it. We have a collection of utility classes included with the official client first clonable. Each of these classes has a heading or text prefix and holds utility styles to apply text elements. These classes apply our customizations through a unified utility system. Okay, typography classes, heading style, H1, H2, text weight, text size, text style, text color, text align. Okay, these are our utility classes for typography. For example, if we want to make H1 heading the same style as our H2 heading, we can add the heading style H2 class to our H1. This will make the H1 start like an H2 while maintaining the H1 tag for SEO. Okay, I get it. We want to keep this H1 tag so the SEO knows exactly what information is important on our site and how to structure the importance. So then we can use just the class but keep the H1. Okay, I get it. For example, if you want to make any text element in the project blue color, and you have a utility class like text color brand linked with the blue color, we can apply text color brand that text element to make it blue. Okay, I get it. We just select the element and give it the utility class, and it turns blue. Both of these examples are a customization of the default typography styles. If there is no customization past the default h1 of text element, there is no need for a class. Okay, so we shouldn't use classes when there is no need. Keep everything clean. And we're gonna learn more tomorrow. Spacing strategy. Spacing is organized into parts. Utility classes, custom classes. Each of these has two primary strategies to implement. Utility classes. Margin and padding classes found in client first utility. Here we have a margin and padding utility classes. Inside the utility class mindset, we present two spacing strategies. Spacing block strategy, spacing wrapper strategy. Both blocks and wrappers are based on the same utility spacing classes. Block and wrappers are different from each other based on how they are applied to the page. Spacing block strategy. Client first spacing block is an empty div block that creates space between two sibling elements. Add the div block spacing block to the page with two classes. Padding bottom plus padding size. Okay. Add content elements to the page as siblings of the spacing block. Spacing block creates space padding between elements. Okay, we can see this padding. And this is just a div with two utility classes. These utility classes are giving properties to this div, and it works as a spacing block. Okay, I think I get it. You can see here the properties to REM. Okay, spacing wrapper strategy. In client first, a spacing wrapper is a div block that wraps a child element and creates space between a sibling element. Add the div block spacing wrapper to the page with two classes. Margin padding direction plus margin padding size. Nest the content element inside the spacing wrapper. Spacing wrapper creates space, margin, or padding between itself and the sibling element. Okay, so we create this div box, then we put our heading inside, and when we give the block these two classes, two utility classes, it creates the padding on the bottom, the margin bottom. Yes? Okay, I get it. So we have two options. We can wrap the elements or just make a block. Okay, custom class strategy. Custom class on element strategy. Custom class on element applies margin, padding values directly to the element that needs to be spaced. For example, we apply FAQ title to a heading that requires unique spacing, which the utility class system cannot achieve. This property, margin bottom, 0.75 REM, is applied directly to the FAQ title class. Okay, so we just select an element, write our custom class, and from the designer we choose 0.75 REM, and now we have a class. Okay. CSS grid strategy. CSS grid spacing strategy applies CSS grid to a parent wrapper, which creates space for the children inside it. We can create vertical and horizontal space between child elements using CSS grid. Okay, instead of applying many blocks, wrappers, or custom classes on elements in a list, we can use CSS grid strategy to manage all children with one controller, parent element. Okay, we make a div block named features content wrapper. This is our custom CSS grid class. Then we use the designer to make a grid and then style everything how we want. We put our elements in this class. Okay, I think we're gonna learn more about this later. Folder strategy. And first, use a virtual folders feature inside through Finsweet extension. The underscore character is powerful in client first. The underscore creates a custom class and a folder. We can create virtual folders for our custom classes using the underscore character. Okay, so with the underscore character, we are creating virtual folders. For example, block underscore header underscore graphic represents a block folder with a nested header folder inside with a graphic element inside it. Okay, it looks like this in the virtual folder system. Block, header, graphic. Okay, these are the folders and this is an element. We have a block folder. Inside this folder we have the header folder. And inside the header folder we have a graphic element. Okay, it's logical. Very clear. By excluding the underscore, we are creating a utility class. Utility class are automatically organized inside the utility folder. Any class without an underscore will be placed inside the utility folder. This folder. Okay, so if there is no underscore, going into the utilities. Each nested folder inside the utility folder will be generated from the first keyword, the same class. Okay, for example, text color primary represents the utility class folder with a nested text folder with a nested color folder with a primary identifier inside. Okay, it looks like this. We have the utility classes. Everything without underscore is here. We have the text folder, and inside the text folder we have the color folder. And the primary is the identifier inside. It's the identifier. Okay, I get it. With the power of folders, we can organize our project in any way. Anyway, small projects will follow a different folder strategy than large projects. Custom build projects will follow a different folder strategy than component libraries. Folders give us the power to customize the build strategy based on the project we are building. Yeah, we're gonna learn about this. We never built big projects, so we don't know why exactly we need different folder strategies, but I guess With practice and with experience, we're gonna find out eventually. Sizes and REM. And first uses REM. REM is a unit measurement for the values we enter in Designer. Okay, what is REM? REM stands for root ephemeral unit. Root ephemeral unit. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Or RUDEM. RUDEM. Okay. REM is a relative measurement based on the root element's font size. The root element is HTML. REM is relative to the HTML font size. All sizes applied in client first are in REM. Okay. We're gonna use REM. We won't use pixels. We're gonna use REM. The math. Every 16 pixels is 1 REM when the browser's font size is set to the default in browser settings. When building our Webflow project, we use 16 pixels as our base value for calculating REM. Every REM measurement conversion is the project in the project is a multiple of 16. Okay. 96 pixels divided by 16 pixels equals 6 REM. Okay, this is logical, it's easy. We divide everything by 16 and we're gonna get the REM. By REM, REM has significant accessibility benefits. We value accessibility deeply inside client first. Accessibility is super important. I'm a beginner, but I already know this. Even in the Webflow tutorials, and everyone is talking about accessibility. I think it's helping about SEO, about the website readability. It's super important. I know it even before knowing why exactly, but I know it's important. And this is enough for now. Browser font settings and browser zoom each work flawlessly inside a RAM-based system. Using client first in our recommended RAM system, we will ensure we are following best practices with accessibility and content scaling. So this content scaling will be super important for the responsive design, and we want responsive website always. And we're gonna learn more, the more advanced topics. And I think this is enough for today. I learned a lot. I'm gonna explore even deeper maybe now. Gonna watch a tutorial or something about someone who is using the client first, build something. And tomorrow we're gonna continue with the documentation. I'm gonna read through all the documentation in client first, and then we're gonna build something, guys. Maybe we're gonna make a project from Figma to Webflow with client first, or maybe dissect a template that is using the client first from the Webflow marketplace. We're gonna build something from scratch using client first, sure, but first we need the fundamentals and the knowledge how to do it. We must master this documentation. And this structure is the most important thing I think from the day one. We must know this structure. We're gonna build everything this way with the same structure. And of course we should know how to name every class to have a clear structure, to be scalable, possible, and to be consistent. We we must know this documentation very well to be consistent with the naming, with the structure, with everything, because that's why the framework exists. So everyone builds the same. When they use client first, every project should have the same structure, the same naming conventions and building principles with the block spacing diffs, with the wrappers, and that's it. I think we're done for today, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.